The appointment of Mr. David Zanelli to the position of police chief for the city of New Haven. Good evening, folks. Thank you for being here. Name and address for the record, please.
David Zanelli, 1 Union Avenue, Wayne, Connecticut, 06519. Justin McCarthy, Chief Administrative Officer, 569 Orange. Good evening, honorable members of the Parliamentary Affairs Committee. On behalf of Mayor Justin, I present to you his nomination for the rank of Police Chief, Acting Police Chief David Zanelli. Thank you, sir. Good evening, Madam Chair, alders, and everyone present here this evening. Thank you for the privilege and opportunity to speak with you all tonight, and for allowing me to be considered to move forward in the appointment process for Police Chief here in New Haven. I started my career with the New Haven Police Department in 2008 as part of New Haven Police Class 14 after transferring from the Middletown, Rhode Island Police Department. I will begin my 19th year of service next month. During my tenure, I've had the humble opportunity of serving in every supervisory rank and in several different capacities here at the New Haven Police Department. I credit this to the support I was given by my family, my mentors, some of which are present here today, fellow officers and community members, and God Almighty. To tell you a little bit about my career, I first began my patrol officer career in the Dwight Kensington neighborhood, and then served in the Street Interdiction Unit and the task force for the ATF. After being promoted to the rank of sergeant, I supervised homicides, shootings, and sexual assaults. As lieutenant, I was assigned as the district manager of Fairhaven, and then as the internal affairs commander. As captain, I was assigned as the officer in charge of the professional standards and training division. As assistant chief, I oversaw patrol operations and training divisions, and then the investigations division. I currently serve as an adjunct professor at the University of New Haven and as a certified police instructor. I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy and PERS Senior Management Institute for Policing. I currently possess a master's degree in public administration, a master's certificate in criminal justice, and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. These experiences have given me a unique and well-rounded perspective that I feel will make me an effective leader here for the New Haven Police Department. I cannot be more grateful to the city, to the community, and the officers providing me with one of the most rewarding and fulfilling law enforcement careers I could ask for. And despite some of the recent challenges we have faced here, as acting chief for the past 4 months, I have witnessed the men and women of the New Haven Police Department continue to work hard each day, not only to solve, but prevent violent crime in the city, and to show up for the community on a consistent basis. However, challenges, especially with youth violence, remain one of our top priorities. During my time as acting chief, I had the opportunity to attend several community events, management team meetings, and to speak with various members of the community and clergy of various functions about the challenges that the city currently faces. Based on these conversations and consultations with police command staff and the leadership at the PD, my vision for the PD moving forward as a team in 2026 is to accomplish some of the following objectives. Expand the SRO program to include the middle schools, to engage more city youth prior to high school, to Project SAFE, and that stands for Students and Families Engaged, and to work this program alongside partners like YARD, Board of Ed, CTVIP, Young Child Studies, and Clifford Beers. Here we'll offer services to youth, increase early intervention, increase juvenile review board referrals, and offer educational classes to students and parents with the hopes of preventing juvenile crimes. We are going to continue hiring aggressively to fill the ranks of the New Haven Police Department. We're going to re-implement traditional community policing strategies that the city has known and loved, like walking and bicycle beats, and to offer new resources and additional resources to our district managers. We'd like to host a new clergy and residence academy this year. We're going to make sure we maintain the low gun violence rates and homicide rates that we are currently enjoying these past 4 or 5 months. And I'd like to see an increase in diverse leadership and recruitment. Thank you again for this incredible opportunity. I cannot be prouder to be a New Haven police officer. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have. Thank you.
Before we continue, I would like to recognize the president of our board, President Walker Myers, as well as our majority leader, Alder Richard. Thank you for being here. Let's start with questions. From the committee? Go ahead, madam.
Um, Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question. I noticed that for 2026, fingers crossed, even my toes is crossed. We are now in our fourth month. There has been 0 homicides for 2026. Has that been the lowest, to date?
So that's an approximate 20-year low, Alder. Thank you for noticing that. Yes.
Thank you. I'll come back with another question.
That's another question.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for stepping up and putting yourself forward for this really important position for our city. I know you mentioned one of the things that's really important are our district managers and supporting them and providing them with the resources that they need. I noticed that you mentioned additional resources for district managers. Would you be willing to elaborate on that a little bit more?
Absolutely, Alder. Thank you for the question. You know, some of that looks like additional walking beats or taking some of the resources from positions within the building and redeploying them to either bicycle or walking beats. Some of that looks like adding promotional pieces to the district manager scheme. For example, having one district manager per district, which is something I'd like to do and I have started doing. That way the district manager can focus on one particular neighborhood. Every neighborhood, as you know, has unique challenges. So that district manager can focus on one area and the community is not shortchanged. That's also cognizant of overtime as well. And I think resources also look like myself and the command staff showing up on a regular basis to support community events, like last weekend, for example.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being there as well. Your presence and support is appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief Zanelli. Assistant Chief Zanelli. Is there one area in the department that you're going to really concentrate on first, that you have in your mind that you need to really concentrate on?
So yes, sir. So we've had 7 non-fatal shootings year to date. These are not being celebrated, but 6 of those 7 shootings have been solved by arrest. But the alarming trend is that 5 of the 7 involve teenagers aged 13 to 17. So one of my top priorities is to intervene and work on juvenile violence and violence interruption, which is one of the reasons that, we have Project SAFE coming out. That's one of the things we want to do. The walking beats that I mentioned it serves as a double really, because it's not only community engagement, but it can also help establish relationships with youth in the community so that people can see that presence and also trust police officers to come forward to them in the event that there's something afoot in the schools. And I've already started adding school resource officers as well, with the intention of trust building. So with those kinds of things in place, I think that will make some very good strides in reducing juvenile crime.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Alder Kim, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here, Chief Zanelli. Just in the brief amount of time I've served in this role, I've already been very, very just inspired by your proactiveness and real care. I'm impressed that you have gone up the ranks through the New Haven Police Department, so you really do understand many different parts of it. And as such, I do have a question because, again, coming into this role more newer, just knowing that the leadership of the police department has had a lot of turmoil, not just in the past few years, but over, let's say, the past decade. And I know you've seen this from various positions within the department. What are your plans in sort of restoring stability within the department? And then I have a follow-up question about things outside the department. Thanks.
For sure. So I think one of the things that we just did, and I appreciate all the alders here that showed up, is continuing promotions. That's something that helps stabilize the police department, reduces overtime. It's a good morale builder for everybody, right? Having the best qualified, we continue going despite some of the challenges that we've had. I think we're approaching tier 2 accreditation. So we're having some of the best policies in there, which limits our exposure, make sure that we're adapting to the best policies available. And I think that the other thing that we need to focus on is the community building. when I was a district manager, each district manager was required to host one community engagement event per month. And I want to get back to those kinds of things, because when you do that, for the police officer that sees the worst and the most traumatic incidents on a consistent basis, it's rewarding to see the community stand alongside you and know that we have more in common than not. And I think that's one of the things that not only the leadership needs to see, but also your rank and file officers that attend these. So I think it's a combination of things, really. I don't think there's a one size fits all. But I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you. And just talking about outside the department, so I know the police department needs to work in tandem, not just with state, national law enforcement, but across the city in regards to decisions that are made for in traffic and parking or in housing, all sort of end up in the department's lap. So how do you plan on working across the city with other department leaders to have a more coordinated strategies, so that, you know, if decisions are being made in, you know, in the police department, and they might echo across to, you know, the youth or et cetera, how you plan on managing that in your new role as chief?
Sure. So we are a police department based on partnerships. That's what we're going to continue doing. One of the things that's worked for our crime strategies are 30 times a week intel meetings, where we meet with other law enforcement partners. And the goal, of course, is to share information to identify and hold offenders accountable. It's also preventative. What's going on in our neighboring areas could and likely is impacting behavior. So one of the things that we want to do is make sure we continue to share information. We do this currently too with our service providers, especially with the juvenile crimes that go on. The best thing to do is to prevent a crime. It's great to make an arrest, but it's better to prevent one. So the sharing of information and the encouragement of sharing that information is big. But I think that also being visible at the management team, so you can hear the unique problems of each respective district and area, I think that gives us the opportunity to make sure that those neighborhoods get the exact services they need. Not necessarily what I think they need, but what the community thinks they need.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Alderman Moran, do you have a question? Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mrs. Zanelli.
Speak a little louder so the folks in here, I don't think the audience can hear you in the back.
I met with you earlier, well, we were at the same place earlier. And ever since I spoke with you, I've been impressed about this number of 0 homicides to date. So what I want to ask you is, and you can feel free to pat yourself on the back, name something specifically that you feel like you've done to create this historical atmosphere.
So great question, Walter, and I gotta say that we're not celebrating because there's a lot of time left in the year.
We're gonna celebrate
But I'll tell you that it's really tough to say one thing, and the one thing it's a team effort. There's nothing that I did solely, but I would say that encouraging the officers to continue to do the hard work, and it's really based on 3 things that we've been doing. It's an expansion of technology. Okay, that's one of the main things that's helped us with these homicide solves. I think it's good, steady leadership, right? I think that's number 2. And I think number 3 is that the community is talking to us more than they have when I started 19 years ago. And I think that says a lot about the way we police and how we've evolved as police officers here in New Haven and set the model. So the more people talk, more people still need to talk to us because we have a lot more cases to go, that's for sure. We're not celebrating any time early, but we're making good strides, and we hope to maintain these numbers based on these factors.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Tuesha had another question. My question is, how do you, I know you have answered a lot of questions, but how do you restore, or what can you do different to restore the trust in you, as if we do agree to accept the nomination for you being the chief? How can we entrust that we're making a great decision and not regretting it later?
So sure, that's a very easy question, I'd say, because I'm accessible and visible, and I'm willing to listen to anybody anytime. And I think that would be hard pressed for anybody to say that if they call me, I don't answer, right? But I'll tell you that one of the things that you see is that I'm involved with the officers. It's not just singing from a podium. I'm directing the officers. You'll see me out there with them. What could you see, or what could you look at to judge that? You know, that's a hard thing, but, you know, perhaps the recruitment numbers where we're at, if you see officers leaving, that would sometimes say that the leadership may not be adequate, right? If you see retention and a growing of the PD, that might be a direction to point at, to say we're heading in the right direction. Right now, we are growing. We're not where we need to be. We're about 351 today out of 414, but we have another class prepared to go in October, and we're going to keep growing to get back to where we are, where we should have been, because when I started it was 495, so we're trying to get back to that, you know? But also the crime numbers. What does the gun violence rate look like? Is it out of control, or is it in control? What's the solvability rate? These are some, but not all, of the metrics that I would look to and point to if you're looking to come to a conclusion on if I was doing a good job or not.
And my follow-up question is, does that also imply for inside the department as well? I know that you mentioned that you're doing a lot of promoting within the department, but how does that look like for the promotions and going up the rank? Like, is there a list, or, you know, how does that inform us as a committee?
Sure, so a lot of that's based on civil service rules. So we have a test, and how you score on that test and rank is traditionally how you get promoted, based on that order. And what we try to do is to make sure that we have a diverse leadership board. We're very aggressive at sending our leaders to organizations like PERF or the FBI National Academy, things like that, to help them prepare for a leadership career or to take these tests and score well. Opportunities for all to make sure that when they take the test, they're doing well, or as well as they can.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Acting Chief. You mentioned crime numbers in the last answer that you provided. Over the past 20 plus years, policing has really, data has played a really important and critical role in policing. You know, if you're confirmed, how will criminal justice data play into your decision making as chief?
So we have to be strategic about our resources. So a lot of times we want to make sure that we're putting officers in the areas where gun violence is occurring. We have limited resources, and we want to make sure we're deploying them appropriately and not spending overtime too recklessly or recklessly at all, really. Again, the other thing is to make sure that we're identifying these hotspots, because one of the things we like to do is do crime prevention through environmental design, right? So instead of having to place an officer in a specific area all the time, maybe we can change the conditions like lighting or the environment that contribute to crime. That will hopefully reduce the activity from going on, maybe adding some lights to illuminate the area, because light is a natural deterrent to crime. And working with our partners, you know, one of the things we used to have an issue with is the juveniles fighting at the McDonald's on Wheelie Avenue. And then the police department teamed up with some community members, the NAACP, for Wake Up Wednesday, and they took the area back, and they occupied it for a positive. You know, we were talking about doing this at Temple Plaza and other areas where some of the juveniles like to congregate, where there's trouble afoot. So we look at these factors, and we try to change the environment. And the reality is that it prevents a negative encounter with a police officer. Who likes to get arrested or get a ticket, right? So if we can prevent it from even getting to the point of an arrest, that's even better.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a general question about how you see the morale in 1 Union Avenue. How is the morale?
I would judge it, Alder, as very good. And the reason I say that is for two reasons. I point to the work that they're doing. 7 non-fatal shootings, 6 of which have been solved by arrest at this point in time. It's like an 88% closure rate, which is relatively high. And it's high for us too. So they're continuing to do the good work despite the challenges that we faced. And right now we're facing historically low, we call them 111s, but they're ordering officers to work against their will. So if we need to fill a shift, what does that look like? How many times are we requiring officers to work? And those numbers have been very low for us in the last 4 to 5 months, when it used to be in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, we're 5, 6, and 7s per week. So officers are coming up to work hard. They haven't been calling out sick in the numbers that they've been doing in the last couple of years. So those are the 2 of the things that I see. And then obviously the promotions help continue on and take on new leadership roles, so people get the most out of their law enforcement career and what they're looking to do here in the local police department.
Thank you. I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
no further questions. Madam Chair.
I have a few questions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. For me, my first question is, Acting Chief Zanelli. If confirmed, what will you do differently than the previous chiefs to support the rank and file?
So one of the things that we were brainstorming to do is perhaps have a chief's advisory panel where officers of various ranks can come in and I can hear directly from them, almost like a representative, to come and say, where are we going that you like, what don't you like, what are some of the things that we should be considering? In the last 4 months, I've had several conversations with rank and file officers, and one of the things that they talked about actually is a police officer's ball, perhaps, which I'm all for. I'd much rather be doing positive events like that than going to a shooting scene or something like that. So having that little arena where officers can come and speak freely, perhaps on a monthly basis, so their voice is heard, and to ensure that we're leading in the right direction.
Next question. How will you handle working with the union leadership regarding ensuring good pay, benefits are competitive for all the workforce?
That's a great question. I know President Cotto is behind me here tonight, so
It's important.
it certainly is, Alderman, Madam Chair. Thank you for asking that. So I do believe that we police officers are some of the most hardest working there is. And it is a dangerous job, and they need to be compensated on fair market value, if not better, because of the challenges they face. So I would be happy to advocate for the best pay and benefits, because they do deserve it. And what that looks like, I'm not sure, but I'm in total support of that, working together synergistically.
Okay, next question. Community policing. What are some practical ways that you, if confirmed, will try to implement to ensure that the community policing works?
Sure. So I think some of the things, and great question, some of the things that I think that we have to look at when we try to determine if community policing works is if we're solving crimes. If we're not solving crimes at the record that we're doing, that means people don't trust that they're talking to us. They'll trust to talk to us to provide us with information. We've made strides, but there's more work to be done. So I think that when we go back and we have things like the Residence Academy, when we have a Clergy Academy, when anytime there's a community event, either myself or one of the command staff goes out, we're showing that we care and that we're trying to build trust on every level. So when I hear that question, I look at the crime stats and I hear about the recruitment from community members. Our community members applying to be police officers here. It's still not where we want it to be, but it's more than we started, and it's increasing every year. So I think that that's another thing that we can look at is what does it look like for city folks to apply to New Haven Police Department, and if they trust that this is a good place to work, which I know it is.
I see a kid looking over there like she has a follow-up or something. Do you?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. In past years, policing has brought up a lot more accountability and transparency, and within the city of New Haven, we have many, many different mechanisms that work with accountability and transparency with the police department, like Disability Review Board that I think is meeting right now across the hall, the Board of Alders, your relationship with the mayor and his team, in addition to the police commission. I'm just wondering your general thoughts about a lot of those accountability measures and how you plan on leading and working with them.
So thank you all for that question. You know, my career has spent a significant amount of time in the internal affairs realm as a lieutenant and then as the captain over that. And I can tell you one of the things that I want to do is continue being objective. We have to be objective in our investigations into police misconduct. That means we make sure that we're following the facts and not emotion. We have body cameras and dash cameras. We use those to our advantage to prove that it's not the police officer's side, it's not any side, it's just the truth. So we're after the truth in these investigations, and that's how we're going to handle it. Be transparent about it, provide that information to the public. And, you know, one of the other things that we've talked about is perhaps having an inspections unit re-implemented in the near future. And that's something that I think that we need. We've been without, we've had it before. Due to staffing, it's kind of went away in times past, but you know, bringing that back to show the community that we are doing the right thing the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
It's okay, yeah.
mental health. Mental health for everyone is crucially important. But people that work in stress jobs like police officers, fire folks, those are hard jobs, right? So I think for some folks, mental health balance is so crucial. If confirmed, sir, what's your plan to support the mental health of your officers so that they don't burn out and fall apart?
That's a great question, Madam Chair. One of the things that we have to do, obviously, because the Police Accountability Act is doing mental health wellness checks. 20% of our PD go for these mandated checks every year. But we've gone a step further. Within the last couple of months, we actually have an in-house clinician. Her name is Corey, and she is available for all the officers to talk to free of charge and on a confidential basis. And I think they're the first police department in the state that has this resource. So she is there for any time police officers need someone with the training and qualifications to sit down with them. And in addition to that, we have things like the peer support team. So if you don't want to talk to a clinician, you can talk to other police officers on a confidential basis. And the thought is that only a police officer knows or a police officer goes through. So we just want people to go and get the help they need. So if that means talking to a clinician, talking to other officers, handling their stress in a healthy way is what we're most interested in. So we have numerous mechanisms to do that. And of course, the 5353 schedule that you all has approved has been very helpful. So thank you for that.
Any other questions, Mr. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Before we start with the